All right, here we go again. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're back to doing some more writing tonight. I hope everybody had a well, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holiday all the way around. Also, hope everybody is being safe during the holiday season and being safe as we get ready to, steamroll into this into this new year. Thank you all for having been with me so far on this ride, and I hope you continue to enjoy following as I go along and continue this story. Once again, for anyone who has not been here before, my name is Tig. I am, among other things, apparently a writer, and I am in the process of writing the second book, a second book in this apparently series of books that's going to be done. The first book has already been written, and in the process of working on getting that published. And so I've been talking with some of my associates. We're working on potentially getting a Kickstarter going. We'll have some more information about that coming soon to basically see about getting some help getting that first book actually published and out there. And I know one of the stretch goals that will probably be a signed copy of the first book. And we'll just see how all this goes. In the meantime, in the chat, I will be posting links to the actual site for the music that you're hearing in the background, and for anyone who doesn't already know, why it should already be in the bio, of course, but I'll also go ahead and post the link to the YouTube channel where the actual video from the streams that we do here will be uploaded there as well. For anybody who can't stick around for the stream, but you want to go ahead and check out what happened, you can watch after the fact. So, having said that, let's get started with some writing for the night. Also, for anyone who is wondering, yes, I'm actually using LibreOffice. It's right up here on the screen as my office program. I use LibreOffice. It's open source, so I'm pretty sure you can still get hold of that. Just to shout them out because it's what I've been using for a very long time. So. Not at all what I did. Hmm. Not a garden. Hmm. that's not gonna work. simple name. A simple name because she's not going to come up very much more. Hey, hey, bud. Everything goes well, I think. It goes well. Google, where are you? Ah, of course. That works. All right. By the way, for everybody joining me now, hope you all had a happy holiday, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, what have you. I hope everybody's staying safe. So, giving my brain a little bit of break. We'll take a little bit of time out just to have a small conversation. So, we've spent a lot of time, with establishing Mihal, who he is. Strange year indeed. And stranger years are yet ahead. But it beats boredom. The world has faced challenges before. Every year is a new set of opportunities and a new set of challenges. Nobody said the road was going to be easy, but let's get out there and get it done. That said, we have spent the earlier part of this story kind of talking about Mihal, who he is, seeing his youth. We spent some time looking at him in regards to getting into the Mage College, and a little bit of time at the Mage College. We looked a little bit about establishing them using magic and studying magic. In fact, they don't like study magic, and here's where they are in their study. And we've acquainted ourselves with someone watching Mihal. We acquainted ourselves with the general area they are in the north, and so we kind of got a lot of that. We got the establishment of Mihal's interest in dragons, but also we're now at this little section here looking at his interest in flight and in flying, and looking at the difference between how, at least at this point in the story, at least this point in the world, how mages, archmages, wizards, how they use levitation, how they use these things, and their ability to use different types of magic, specifically as regards to flying. So we're establishing here that at present they can levitate. They can keep someone from falling to their death. They can stop them, arrest that fall before it becomes splat. They can lift themselves or other objects, but they don't have real true flight. So that is where they are as far as the mages, as far as at this point in time in the story as a whole. And so there is magic. They can do lots of interesting things, but there are certain limits to how they use it, and we're explaining some of the why there are some of the limits. This will play into some of why Mihal chooses or is intrigued, is drawn, is tempted to make the choices he will be making shortly. So we've done a lot of establishing to this point. And so trying to decide how I want to go further from here. Thinking we're going to have a small time jump, and it won't be a very large time jump. It won't be anything more than a year at best. Only more than a year at best. Using portals and how they use portals and being able to transport. So all kinds of things that they can do, and the magic is really interesting, and they can do all kind of cool things with it. But there are limits. And anybody who's written story, written lore of any kind before, you understand that those limits, they are always a matter of a narrative purpose. And so it's easy to look at a thing and say, oh, but those are arbitrary. Of course they're arbitrary. Of course, it's contrived. All of it is. The point of any limit at all, in this case, is purely for a narrative reason. It's fiction, so by default you can say, well, anyone can do anything. Why not? Well, the why not is, okay, because it has to fit, into the story, it has to fit into this world, and so it all fits together, so it serves a narrative purpose. You can say, well, if that's the case, I mean, anyone can really do anything. You should be able to go ahead and work it out. So there's still ways around it. Well, yeah, possibly. But every story you've ever read, ever, has had these contrivances to some degree. Some authors are just very, very good at hiding them or making you so interested and so drawn into the story that you hand wave, you ignore, you suspend disbelief. It's one of the pet peeves I have about the world now, and about a lot of people as it regards to their engagement with fiction, is we have all become so consumed with the idea that everything has to make logical sense, and there is something to be said for a certain internal consistency within a given story. So there's something to be said for that, but there's also something to be said for sometimes you just let, and this is a saying that I have had for the past couple of years, because it's something that I've been noticing, and I feel bad for a lot of people because they lack the ability to do this. It's let the storyteller tell the story they're trying to tell. Sometimes we get so caught up in, okay, but why this? Why didn't explain this? Why didn't show this? Let the storyteller tell the story they're trying to tell. You're getting caught up in the minutia, caught up in a lot of things that are really just there as dressing, and you're missing the point of the story. I think a great analogy is if you've ever seen the movie Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, and there's a scene he's teaching a student, and he's teaching him some of the things they're doing, and he does a kick and says, okay, now how did it feel? And the kid says, let me think. He says, I don't think. He said, feel. And he says, it's like a finger pointing away to the moon. And he says, he's like, don't point on the finger, don't focus on the finger, or you miss all that heavenly glory. It's like, I'm pointing at the moon, you're focusing on my finger. No, look at the moon. The moon's the thing I'm pointing at. What's the same here? The storyteller is telling your story. You're focusing on the different minutiae and the different bits and pieces here, and why it didn't go into this and that and this and that, and why it didn't explain this, and why it didn't talk about that, and you're missing the actual point the storyteller's trying to get to, something he's trying to show you. Far too often we get too caught up trying to prove to ourselves, try to show to ourselves or others how smart we are, and so we're trying to think ahead of the writer, think ahead of the director, think ahead of the storyteller, and oh yeah, I know where the story's going, I know what they're about to do. We're trying to figure things out, trying to be ahead of the story. And sometimes we spend too much time trying to break down the story and how all the parts, well, this didn't fit together, and this isn't internally consistent, or this was they said this, but then you contradicted this early. We spend so much time trying to break a thing apart, and sometimes we just need to take a step back, get over ourselves, and just let the storyteller tell the story they're trying to tell. Just allow ourselves to just enjoy the story. Just enjoy a story. And I hear that complaint. Some people say, well, I just can't. Well, that's a failing. That's not something to be proud of. You just can't. I just can't let it go. I just can't. That's a sad thing, and I feel bad for you, because that's not something to be proud of, the fact that you just can't. Well, that means you've lacked the ability to let self go and just enjoy a narrative. So, yes, there are contrivances. Yes, there are rules and limitations at this point to certain levels of the magic, because it serves my narrative purpose. It serves what I'm trying to get to as far as a motivation for why a character does what he does, but also why in later points of the story, in the earlier book, another character is so affected and so drawn to Mihal and something he sees Mihal capable of doing. Why? Because of the limitation placed on him, the limitation of how the magic actually works, and that he sees this magic user doing something in a way that all his studies have not allowed him to do. And so all of it plays a part. And so there is an internal consistency here. Yeah, see, yeah, I rag on people for not being able to get over when they can't find it, but it doesn't mean that I'm not aware that there's a good point to it. So there's my little rant about people's their relationship in the modern day to fiction. So, but all this is subjective. It's all my opinion. This is all my view based on people I've observed and watched and conversed with. So it doesn't mean that I'm all right. I could very well be wrong. You could hear what I say and think, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's an idiot. Well, okay, well, you're welcome to that opinion, and I won't begrudge you for it. But it is my opinion. This is what I think. This is how I feel. So there you have it. But having said that, we are in an interesting place here. But I don't want to dwell too long in the story on just the past, on just his time at the school, because that's important. It's good setup and it's good for setting the groundwork for a lot of things. A lot of the meat is what's coming. And while I know the end, it's all the things leading up to it and surrounding and happening in the midst of it that I'm having to work out. And so now I'm trying to decide how I want this to go forward. I know Shanola has to introduce herself to Mihal. I know they have to become acquainted. I know that she has to appeal to him and get him to join their group. Well, in the first book, I have a couple of times where characters who are not used to, who don't really use the magic, ask questions. And so one of the other characters speaks to them and points out that, well, I can do this and I can do that, but this doesn't work this way. But I saw him do something that's not how we can do that. We're not able to do that. And so he's like, it's amazing to me. And so we have times where people presume a thing can be done a certain way, and they're educated like, oh, well, no, see, he can do this, but that normally doesn't happen that way. And there's minor conversations about how, oh, well, I thought priests could do this and priests could do that. Well, no, that's not really how this works. And so not a ton of misunderstanding, but I do put in a lot of explanation from one person who uses either magic or faith or whatever form of magic they're really using. They tend to explain things to the people who don't use the magic, or even someone who's just more experienced explaining how they're going to do something to someone else, like, well, this is why this and this is why that, explaining it, and so it kind of sets up why things work the way they do. Sometimes it's not even an explanation, it's just in the description of how an ability is being used or how things are being used in the world. A description is there, and part of it is just in general just building that consistency. Some of it is just flavor. It's just really cool visuals. It's really cool to see happen. Other times it is because, and in fact, there's one of the major parts of the latter part, midway part of the first book, really one of the major climactic scenes in the book. One character is explaining to other people there, is like, well, no, this doesn't work that way. In fact, minor spoiler alert, one of the characters points out that, hey, this character he's Renfallen, he's lost it, and somebody else is like, oh, so what, he's going berserker? And essentially the guy's like, no, any fighter or any drunk in a bar can go berserk. Throwing stuff around, that's nothing. He's like, this guy's Renfallen. This is completely different. Dude made a deal with the god Ren, and he didn't keep his in. He lost control of his emotions. You're not supposed to do that, and he did. We're screwed. This is bad. And it's that an explanation of this is what this means, as opposed to this just being, oh, another term for this. And so it's the the in universe, this character, because they're not really well versed in magic, presumes Renfallen, because they've heard the term, is just another way to say person went berserk. And so it has to be explained to them, no, it's actually a bit more than that. And it's far worse than that. And so I do have a couple of times where there are those misunderstandings and they get clarified in universe to the different stories. So that does happen. As far as the characters thinking, oh, this is how this magic works. And as a writer, I'm like, oh, okay, I've written this. And so characters think this works this way, but actually it's this. I haven't done that very often. I haven't done that, I think maybe once. I think maybe at one point in time, characters just presume something happens a certain way, and really it's just, it was something totally unrelated. And I'd have to go back through I'll probably go back through the whole book, see if I can find it. But no, for the most part, characters who do use magic, because at least at this point, the only kind of magic you're using is either you're praying and it's either faith-based because I pray to this God, or it's I took the time and studied and I can do this magic because I know how to do this ability because I specifically learned how to do this thing and I had to practice it, so I know what it does. People looking on may not understand, but in most cases where the magic casts take place, they're either just happy there's somebody here who can do the thing, like, oh, everything was drying up, we didn't think we were gonna have a good crop, so you made it rain, great. They don't really care how you did it, they're just glad you did. Or it's oh crap, they're shooting fire arrows at me, this sucks, let me get out of the way. They don't care how you're making fire arrows with no bow, they just care that you're making fire arrows and they just want to not be in the way. It's that kind of thing. So it's the people who are using it, they know exactly how it works because that's the only reason it works, is because they know. But for the layman, they may not know, but they don't make any assumptions. They're consciously aware of the fact that I don't do magic. It's not my thing. So they don't try to pretend or try to come. They don't try to think of, oh, but how does that work? They don't concern themselves with it. It's kind of the, you know what? That's not my thing. I don't try to figure it out because that's not my thing. I just leave it to the people who do. It's like an uncle or a cousin who they don't get how the computers work and they don't try. They know that's not their space. They just listen. Can you make this thing do the thing I need to do real quick? And they don't try to understand it. They don't need to. They just need the thing to do the thing it needs to do in this particular instance, and then that's it. That's about as far as they're going to engage with it. They don't try to fool themselves and believe it. They don't even come up with any other theory for themselves of why it works. They just accept that it works and they move on. And I say that because I have experience with family members who are that way with tech. And so it's kind of no, I get it. And so same thing here. People who are versed in magic are so because they bother to study. So if it's a thing they haven't learned how it works, they don't try to guesstimate how it works. They go ask. It's like, how did you do that? Well, why does that work? They may have theories, but they don't put any stock in the theory they have because they know I haven't seen it done before, so I know nothing about it. I'm either going to go ask or gather all the things I know how to do, and I'm going to start trying to work it out. But I'm not going to presume it's like this or like that. I know I don't know because I've never seen that. Now, granted, I know in the real world it doesn't always work that way. People see things and come up with all kinds of theories about why they think this or they think that. But then again, my world doesn't work exactly like our world. I mean, in my world, people have faith in gods and all kinds of different gods. And there's no question of whether or not the gods hear them because they see them. Like I just saw this god over here on Tuesday. That's not the god I worship. I worship this other god who I just saw yesterday. It's like they've seen the gods. They've seen the gods do things, and so it's just, that's a different world. You got to imagine what kind of world is that when certain things aren't left up to trying to figure out because there are either answers or it's a thing that you just aren't concerned with the answer just as long as somebody made it work. How would that affect the entire world, entire culture of people when these things aren't left up to guesswork? It's either the answers are there and I just go get them, or this is something that is way outside of the realm of anything that I'm familiar with because it's not something I bother to delve into anyway, and I'm probably not going to. So, it works because they say it works. Good enough for me. And who knows? As I continue writing this, maybe that'll evolve. Maybe that'll adjust. Maybe I'll do some things different. But that's where it's kind of where it is now. Um, and it's an interesting thing. It's being a person of faith, and I am. And then at the same time being able to look at my own religion, and then looking at the dogma, and looking at different things. It's okay. My relationship to my religion, it's like every other human being. No two human beings have the exact same relationship with their religion, even if it's the same religion, even if it's from the same family. Each person's relationship with it is going to be different because each person is different. And it's just the reality. That's how it is. That said, my relationship with my religion, with my faith, I tend to look at things a certain way. And yet, at the same time, I can take this story and show faith and show a relationship between the peoples that exist and the gods in this world vastly different than how I have to navigate that and experience that in the world that I actually really do live in. And so somebody who loves science, and I love science and all these things, and at the same time I'm a person of faith, and I don't find these things necessarily opposed, but it's because of the way that I choose to engage with it. At the same time, that's what allows me to tell a story like this, in which, yes, I know in the real world, yes, I believe in God. I believe I felt the touch of him. I've had my relationship with him, and so I believe I've heard from him and have a relationship with him. But at the same time, I'm exceptionally aware of the fact that, yeah, but I can't prove that to you. I can't show that to you. I can't point and say, yeah, but see, there's a guy right there. See, he's right over there. That's the guy right, that's him right there. I can't do that. Okay. So I have faith, but also I recognize, and I get the fact that that's why it's called faith, is because I can't show it to you. I can't prove it to you. I have experienced things that confirm for me and that strengthen my faith, but I can't show that. I can't make somebody else believe that. I can't prove that. And I get that in this world. So then writing in this story, in the way I'm writing, it's a very interesting thing, writing a world in which people have faith, but they have faith in gods that they can literally point to and say, no, that's my God over there. He's the one over there. And that doesn't discount someone else's faith, because they say, oh, that's cool. My God's actually over here. Like, oh yeah, I saw her Wednesday. And they can have that conversation because to them, yeah, that they can point to it and say, yeah, there it is over there. And so that's an interesting thing, because then it allows you to actually to take a look at, okay, so how does that affect a world in which these types of things, well, this is how you interact with it. Like certain things that we take for granted, or certain things that really are just a matter of choosing to believe. For them, it's like, yeah, I choose to have faith in this God, but at the same time, I can also show it to him. I can literally point to him. And so then it's like, okay, well, then what do they have to have faith in? Well, I have to have faith that the God actually hears me as an individual and actually cares at anything at all about what I ask or want or think as an individual. And then will actually intercede and, do on my behalf, or will lend me their power to do on my behalf. I have to have faith that they'll even bother to do that. And then will they? And so, it's faith still has a part to play. And so telling that kind of story and with these kind of things, it then, like I said, it leads to, okay, well, so if that's that, well, what other kinds of things would be affected in people's mentality and how they approach certain things if that's the kind of world this is? We speculate about all these different things about magic because, well, in our world, as far as we understand, magic isn't real. So, we can speculate. In this world, they don't question magic because they've seen it. Even the average layperson, while they might not be someone who regularly uses magic, if you're alive in this world, you've seen it at some point. At some point in time, you've seen someone do something that was magical. It might have been something small. It might only be once or twice here or there, but you've seen it in your lifetime. You've seen someone do something with magic. You've seen someone use faith to make something happen, to heal someone, or to call down rain, or to make something happen. You've seen someone, create fire out of nothing, or to fire a lightning bolt, or to levitate something. You've seen it at some point. You've experienced it, so it's a thing. People go to whole schools where they learn and then go back and then use the things. Not everybody's adept at it. Not everybody has the patience, has the time, it's like in real life. Not everybody has. We know medical science is a thing. We know about microbiology. We know about all these different things. Not everybody has the patience or the time or the want or the mental faculties or the discipline to go through medical school. We know IT professional here. We know lots of people who understand computer engineering, electronics. We know people who are they work at NASA. They're rocket scientists. But we also know not everybody has the mental faculty, the ability to study these things, or the patience or the discipline to go through all that, or in some cases just the opportunity. They don't have the funding, the money to go to, or they've just never been introduced to it and given an opportunity to cultivate that interest to do so. But those things still exist. People still do them. Same with magic. The magic exists in this world. People have seen it, but not everybody will bother to do or ever really get into it, but they've seen it. And because it's a thing, it's one of those things that some people just accept it works. Most people to this day don't really, if you sat down and asked them, they couldn't tell you how their radio works. They couldn't tell you how the monitor that they're watching this stream on works. But they push the button, it turns on, it does the thing they need to do, and that's good enough for them. There are people who absolutely understand how it works. We know there are, because they're the ones who built it, who designed them, and make them better. And so that's how it is in this world. Some things aren't going to be explained. Some things, some people, many of them, aren't going to ask. They're not concerned. It just works. Oh, my bread was rotten. This guy was able to pull the rot out and dump it over here. Now all the bread's good. Good enough. They don't ask how or why. It worked. Now I can eat my bread. So, that's it. And also, that's a really good question. Thank you for that. Don't know if I actually got an answer that's actually fitting with that or that did any good there, but I hope my rambling there was at least mildly amusing or entertaining. If I did do any good at actually answering that question, then awesome. Also, for anybody watching, I hold no negative thought towards anybody of any other faiths or anyone who doesn't have faith. I got love for everybody. I judge nobody. Everybody believe what you choose to believe. We're all human beings. We all deserve love. We all deserve the freedom to explore these types of things in our own way for ourselves. So if you're in my space, you're in a space where you're with somebody here, a human being who loves you as a fellow human being, no matter who you are. So there's that. I speak as being a person of faith. Doesn't mean that I'm thinking ill of you if you have a different faith or if you have no faith at all. That's incidental. It's irrelevant. You're a human being, a fellow human being, and know that from one human being to another, there's somebody out here who loves you. So there's that. So, what to have next? I have no idea, so let's just put some words on the page and see what happens. See what comes up. Well, I hope it intrigued you some. Thanks for the question, by the way, and I do appreciate it. And it's a pretty cool conversation to have. I use that word too often. Google to the rescue. Another word synonymous with expedition. I mean, yeah, it is that simple. Why not? Campaign fits. Loathe to use the term because it's still used often in a D&D space, but it does fit. And I think campaign, war, so, but it fits here. There's no C in that word. That should not be capitalized. That's not how you spell that. That's not supposed to be there. There's supposed to be an A in that verb. All right. Okay, so, all right, here we are. I think this is a good point for me, anyway. Nice little stopping point. Yeah. Let me give myself a little marker here to give me an idea kind of what I want to focus on for the next time. And that's not necessarily to say that that's exactly what's going to happen, but gives me an idea, a thought process of something. Maybe that's kind of what I want to do next one. So we'll see. But at least I have an idea of something I could be doing for the next session. But that said, I think this is where I'm going to go ahead and stop for the night. I like what I got down. I'm actually happy with it. For anybody who has just joined me, thanks for jumping in. Sorry we're already going to get ready to stop, but I will have the video of this up on my YouTube channel, so I'll be pushing that over there, and hopefully by tonight it'll be up. So if you are so inclined, you can go ahead and watch what was actually done there, as well as all the previous sessions I've had so far. And I will be back at it again next Monday, roughly the same time frame. We'll keep writing the story, and we'll see where we go next. For everybody who has joined me in the stream, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for jumping in. For anyone who bothers to watch the YouTube video after the fact, thank you for joining in that capacity. Thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed what you got a chance to see. If you have any questions about the story, questions about the streams, feel free to go ahead and ask, and I'll try to go ahead and check back in and look at the comments and see what I can respond to. But thank you very much for joining me in this. And having said that, I will end it as I do every week, and I'll say, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, stay good, and good night.